Now, I've had requests for me to make a video about Derrick Jaxn's reaction to his own video. So I'm going to do that today. And I noticed people were saying that I laughed in the last video. There were a lot of bits I laughed at while I was making it. That was the best one. So let's see what he has to say about his own video.
What's going on, guys? Derrick Jaxn here, and today I am joined by my lovely wife, Danae, and we just wanted to address a couple of things. You know, we understand that some of you may have already heard, maybe not, that this chapter of our marriage is one that was preceded by a marriage that I completely failed. And I would say it just started around August, maybe September of last year.
So Derrick Jaxn spends 3.5 minutes just staring at his own video, which in itself is interesting. So he thinks that that's going to be entertaining and people are going to stay watching for the 3.5 minutes while he just stares at himself. And it's true, it is entertaining.
To not operate from your lowest self, whatever it may be.
So, when I looked in the comments of this video, I don't know if old boy was trolling or not, but he said, D, I think I want to see a reaction to this video. So let's do it. And by the way, I'm gonna speak in third person. A lot of you already seen this, but this is Derrick Jaxn. A lot of people think of him as a relationship expert and guru and all of that. Well,
so if that guy's Derrick and you're not that guy, then who are you? I think this is going to have to be quite a sarcastic video. I don't think I can do this without being sarcastic.
he and his wife are making this video because apparently at some point in their marriage, or maybe even beforehand in the relationship, he didn't take his own advice and he stepped out and he got involved with other women, as you heard them say. Now, upon first impression...
But you didn't introduce yourself, though, so I don't know who you are or what to think of your opinions.
Nothing really stuck out to me about him, but more so about the wife. Like, I heard her say that she stands with her husband, she's proud to love him.
So nothing really stuck out to him, about himself. Nothing really stuck out.
I heard her say that, you know, this is some time ago. They've already processed this, overcame this, dealt with this a long time ago, and nothing's really new to her.
I heard her say that this was a long time ago. So not only is he talking about himself in the third person, but he's really pretending that this person isn't him.
But just by her body language, I was really wondering, like, did he force her to do this video? Like, she looks super uncomfortable, like she doesn't want to be there. But then I watched their live chat that they did right afterwards, and, you know, I kind of caught that this is just a part of her personality, so that kind of explains somewhat of her demeanor. You know, she clearly has a mind of her own if you saw the live chat too.
So he wondered if she was forced into this video, but now he's realised that she has, by the way she's acted, he's learnt that that's not the case. So he's talking about a stranger who is himself, and he doesn't know his wife, but he's learnt from her about herself through what she said in this video. So this is his way of trying to get into our heads and trying to reassure us about the things that we're thinking by pretending to actually be one of us, which is a very creative way of trying to manipulate someone. And I think I guess it's particularly funny because right now it seems quite harmless, because really, who could take this video seriously?
And she said that the live chat even was her idea. So with that, cool. She wants to stand by her husband. She feels like he's worth it. She has that right. Now, as far as what he said, I understand and I completely applaud him taking accountability, because too many times we see dudes and they got this sob story about how they was raised.
Well, that's funny, isn't it? That's just amazing. Oh, Derrick completely applauds this guy who is Derrick. That's funny, isn't it? So he's basically saying, I understand myself and I completely applaud myself, without actually saying myself.
You know, they broken home and the goldfish died and they never seen a marriage and all that. He didn't do that. He just took accountability. But I hope he understands that all the accountability in the world is not going to rebuild broken trust.
So he hopes that so he's saying, I hope that this stranger understands something. So I really admire his confidence, you know, and the way that he keeps going. And I know that the reason he feels like that is because he's deluded into thinking that this manipulation is going to work and people are going to fall for it. And so, although on the one hand his confidence comes from a rather crazy place, at the same time it's quite admirable that he just keeps going and nothing's getting him down. You know, he's done these other videos, he's had all these people write comments about how narcissistic he is, so he's had to get rid of all the comments and hide who likes and doesn't like it, but he's still going. He's going in, you know, full force. So by saying he hopes he understands, he's being humble in obviously a very fake way. So he's saying that he is able to criticize himself and feel the concern that we're all feeling, although in doing that he's also suggesting that he doesn't know himself at all, which we know he does because we know it's him, so it makes no sense at all. But he thinks that this is gonna fly.
Not on a personal level, and even with the public that he's addressing, like even his most loyal supporters at this point will probably have a raised eyebrow from this point forward whenever he wants to condemn another man for something like this, and rightfully so. So hopefully he understands that. And I also thought it was very intriguing how he brought in God at the end. You know, I don't really hear him speak like that.
So if you're intrigued by what that guy thinks, what do you normally think?
And I also thought it was very intriguing how he brought in God at the end. You know, I don't really hear him speak like that. So, you know, do it God's way or else it's going to fail. Now, if I saw that a couple of years ago, I honestly would have called BS. I honestly would have been like, nah, dude, like you can't use God as a scapegoat, you know, as if you not having Jesus is why you did what you did. Like if Jesus was there with you when you was with those other women, Jesus would have zipped up your zipper for you. That's not how it worked. Like, who are you kidding?
See how hard he's trying, how much energy he's putting in to helping us to see that he fully relates to all of our doubts about him. He's saying, I'm exactly the same as you. I have exactly the same doubts about this guy. I mean, you know, who is he anyway?
But now I have a relationship with God for myself, so I hear things a little bit differently. And what I heard whenever he said that was...
So now, because I have a relationship with God, I now don't feel that this guy is talking crap. What? It's so funny how he doesn't think that we're going to think he's in any way biased about this guy he's talking about. That we trust him so deeply that we think he's going to talk objectively about himself. And yet he's just confessed to lying to us for all of these years. So he found it really intriguing how he brought God in. So, I mean, this is literally a script. It would have probably been a bit easier for him and he wouldn't have to use so much of his creative brain power if he had just written a script for us and told us what he wants us to think. But he thinks that, well, that's not going to work. But as long as he pretends to be one of us, then we're just going to follow suit and just think whatever he thinks. And we're not going to realise how completely crazy this is.
But you know, when you go into a godly commitment, which marriage is supposed to be, you can't lean on your own understanding. You can't do it by yourself. You can't do it by your own willpower, your own good intentions and vows and love for a person. If you go into a godly commitment, you have to lean on God. You have to do things like to God's standard. You have to rely on God's grace. That's the only way you're going to be able to do it for the long term. And that I can personally relate to. Now, regardless, whether you...
He can actually personally relate to this thing that he said on a video. That's really weird, isn't it? What a surprise.
Now, regardless, whether you like them, love them, or hate them, I think this is a great example as to why we don't need to be putting anybody on the pedestal. Nobody. And I think a lot of women did that. And I'm not even going to say it's the women's fault by themselves, because this dude, he never really showed his struggle. You know, we understand, oh, we're all humans and we all make mistakes, but he never showed those mistakes, not for real. I think he wrote about it or something like that, but he never showed that side.
I think he wrote about it or something like that, but he doesn't know because it's not him, except that it is him.
So it's not really all on the women, but I've seen a lot of women put this dude on the pedestal to the point of idealizing him and even comparing their man to him. Like they'll compare their man's good, bad, and ugly whole story to Derrick Jaxn's snippet, you know, which is of course a standard nobody can meet consistently.
But nobody can meet that standard. They should have known. Nobody can really be someone who doesn't cheat on his wife. Why didn't they realise that? Just because he acted like it. These stupid women. He was talking about how bad it is to cheat and how you should never stay with someone who does that. So they had every reason to think that, but
that's like a dude taking a picture of another woman who's in shape and she got a 4-pack and, you know, she just beautiful and all of that stuff and her body's just super tight, and him comparing his woman to that woman because his woman got a couple extra pounds from having a baby. Meanwhile, he don't know that woman in the picture may not even be able to have children. She may be struggling with that and coping with it by working out 2-3 times a day. She may have an unhealthy body image, and that's why she works out obsessively and consistently and looks so good. Like, you don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's wise to ever idealize.
So he's drawing a parallel between men who like attractive women and who think that those women are somehow better than their wives, and the women who thought that he wasn't someone who would cheat.
Somebody or compare them, like, not only because somebody can be living a double life, which I don't think is quite the case here, according to his wife, behind the scenes without anybody knowing. Of course, this part ain't gonna blow up, but he's been putting in the work to kind of reconstruct what all had been broken since last year. So I don't think it's a double life thing, but you don't know what struggle somebody has behind the scenes. You don't know their shortcomings. You don't know where they're falling short. So it's just not wise to compare, you know, on any level. Nonetheless, I know some people will see this type of video, even though he's come forward and he's been completely honest. Some people are just going to close the book on D. Some people are going to close the book on this dude and say, you know what?
So even though he's been completely honest, there are some people who are so mean and nasty and so judgmental that they're not going to listen to him anymore. I mean, yeah, he was dishonest for quite a few years, but he's been honest now. So these people are just horrible.
I'm done with you. Cancel culture, come here.
And it's the fault of cancel culture. It's just the fault of society. You know, it's one of these horrible things that's happening in our society today.
I'm more so on the side of his wife.
Well, I mean, that's funny, isn't it? Because his wife wants to stay with him and thinks he's a changed person. So that is quite a coincidence that he's on her side, isn't it?
And just basically letting this be a new chapter of how I see him, because I do believe that his content over the years has helped a tremendous amount of people. You know, he tells the truth. He speaks facts.
He tells the truth, you know, not about himself, but there are things that he tells the truth about. So that should be enough for everyone, shouldn't it? I mean, yeah, some people, they might tell some lies. They might lie about who they are and what their values really are like when they're teaching people values. But why does that matter if they can be honest about some things? We really shouldn't judge this man.
Wife, and just basically letting this be a new chapter of how I see him, because I do believe that his content over the years has helped a tremendous amount of people. You know, he tells the truth. He speaks facts. And quite honestly, I'm gonna be real with y'all, I've needed several new chapters in my own life, Lord knows, and I'm not ashamed to say it. But I'm no guru. Those are just my thoughts. Y'all let me know what you think down in the comments. And by the way, he has a book detailing how he and his wife overcame all of this in their private lives a long time ago, matter of fact. It's called Heal Together Without Hurting Each Other. So if you're in a situation like this, you want to let God in to totally restore it better than new, click the link down in the bio or up in the bio.
So are you going to get paid something for helping this guy to sell his books? Because, I mean, you need to get something for your troubles. So this guy I'm talking about, who is me, is now hoping to make lots of money out of you guys, because hopefully you're going to see that we had something happen that nearly destroyed our relationship, but I can tell you all about how we rebuilt it, even though I've just told you that I've lied to you about who I am for a number of years. But because I'm being one of you, and because you can believe that, and that I am seeing this person who is me really objectively, you can all trust me and buy my book. I don't know what to say about that. So he says, and by the way, because it's just occurred to him that funnily enough, this guy he's talking about has actually written a book about this, and you can buy it now for a special rate. But I didn't think of that before. What I like about that video is it's quite reassuring in that it helps us to see that people who behave in a really narcissistic way are deluded. And they might not be as obviously deluded as this guy is, but they are deluded in some way into believing what they believe. Because to have such a feeling of entitlement, you have to be deluded. And so even though they can cause a lot of damage, at least I think it's quite comforting to know that it's not like they see things as we do and they still behave like that. It's that they have a really wonky way of seeing the world. This is something I've often told myself, and I found it quite comforting, that when we see really evil things happen in the world, even though that evil is never going to stop, at least we can know that the person behind it isn't fully conscious of what they're doing. Because even if there's someone who hurts someone because they get off on their pain, they do that because they have some kind of delusion going on inside them. If you can laugh at some of these deluded beliefs, it can help you. If you can laugh at yours, then that can help you. And also if you can laugh at somebody else's, to yourself, if you don't want to offend them. But the less you take this stuff seriously, sometimes the easier it is to know that it's not about you. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.